What's up, metalheads? Welcome to the Scrap Metal Podcast, the show for the misfits who've been listening to the same music since high school. I'm your host, John von Frankenstein, and joining me today is my metal thrashing mad co-host, Chris. Chris, I gotta ask you, man, how you feeling?
I gotta say, I am feeling like a sinner.
Like a sinner? Oh my gosh, have you seen the movie recently? Chris, does this feeling of sin and filthiness have anything to do with how you're keeping your heavy metal street cred?
For once, it actually has something to do with how I'm keeping my heavy metal street cred. I know, it's crazy. I'm changing things up on all of us.
Editor, drop ice cubes today was a good day right over this section.
But recently, I discovered the band Dogma. And I told you about this band when I shared a reel with you and said, excuse the fuck out of me. Why did no one tell me about the hot goth nun heavy metal band? Because that's exactly what Dogma is. It is a all-female heavy metal band where they dress like goth nuns. And I also pitched the joke to the tune of Hot Cross Buns, Hot Goth Nuns. Not sure if that's anything, but, you know, Hot Goth Nuns, I'm not... But... yeah, I discovered this band and I listened to the album, and like Ghost and Kiss before them, they do not sound the way they look. You know, for a bunch of nuns and corpse paint, I was really expecting something a little bit heavier. But I still really liked it. Very power metal, arena rock. That seems to be the thing everyone is doing. And while I was listening to the album, I was like, this sounds like they said to themselves, let's rewrite a bunch of Ghost songs, but make them all about fucking.
So just the second album.
Yeah. So every song, you know, I'm listening to the album. First song is called Forbidden Zone. And right away, I'm like, And then the chorus is like, I feel the heat in my forbidden zone. And I'm like, And I'm like, maybe I'm, you know, just really, really into what's going on here. And then, you know, there's a song like Feel the Zeal and Free Yourself. And then I get to the song Made Her Mine, where the chorus is rubbing scissors in the dark against the shrine I made her mine. And I'm like, all right, yeah, every single fucking song is about fucking or touching yourself.
Oh my God.
The music is really good, even with the hilarious subject matter. The music is really fun. Like I said, there's, which song is it? I want to say it was Free Yourself. Mm-hmm. Sounds like Dance Macabre. Like you could sing the chorus of Dance Macabre to this song. But,
all right, that's awesome.
But yeah, it's really cool. They released the one album, and that kind of seems to be their thing. I know reading their bio on Spotify, it was a lot about like sexuality and being like, oh, we actually believe that God gave us these bodies that feel this pleasure, so it's a sin to not enjoy the things that God gave us, or some shit like that. I don't fucking know. But like, yeah, it's so funny. And then the song Feel the Zeal, I think, is about moving back in with her parents and hearing them having sex. And there's a sound at the beginning of the song that I'm like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. And I think what it's supposed to be is the sound of like the springs in a squeaky bed.
Okay.
And I think that's the point. So yeah, it's
phenomenal. It's
explicit. Like they have a t-shirt that says rubbing scissors in the dark on the back. Like they are all about it. It's so fucking fun. And I love it. And what I also love is that, you know, they have stage names. No one knows who they are. I watched the music video for Made Her Mine, which, oh boy, I think I saw that on Pornhub. But I realized the lead singer is actually wearing a mask. The other members of the band are wearing makeup. The lead singer is wearing a mask. So
that's great.
They're doing a lot to like hide their identities about who they really are. Because I saw online a lot of people had a lot of theories. The band's only released one album, and people are theorizing online there's been like 12 or 13 members, that there's no original members left in the band. But yeah, it's really cool that they're like I said, they're doing the same thing Ghost did before them, which is always so much fun to see, which is, you know, wearing the makeup, wearing the costume, using stage names, not letting anyone know who you are. The songs are credited to the Dark Messiah, so I don't know if that's just some horny dude writing songs for these women to sing, or if it's the women themselves writing the songs, but either way, they're hiding their identities, and it's a lot of fun just because, like I said, they're committing to the bit in a way that is so entertaining, and I love it. So yeah, I've been keeping my heavy metal street cred by discovering some new music. In this case, it's a bunch of hot goth nuns in the band Dogma.
I love that so much. I did have hot goth nuns in the style of hot cross buns stuck in my head for the remainder of the day after you sent that to me. I also love that we're sort of on the ground floor for this, right? We talk all the time about how cool it must have been to have been a Ghost fan back before anyone knew any of the identities of the band members.
Yep.
So it's absolutely a band for you to get into now, before some lawsuit comes up, which ends up revealing everyone's name, and then people don't know how to separate the the artist from the character and all that sort of stuff. I love stuff like this. And speaking of hidden identities, we never did find out who the Zodiac killer was. And something about that is fascinating. The fact that he never had a lawsuit which revealed his true identity. I feel like if we did find out that he was actually a band of different people portraying the Zodiac, we might have found out. Which then begs the question, which is your favorite Zodiac? Is it the one from the first album? Is it the one from the fourth album? You know, people get really attached to this. But the greater aspect of the Zodiac that I want to get into has to do with something that's very close to my heart, right? As a child, I grew up watching Saturday night variety shows on Univision with my grandparents. That show being Sábado Gigante. And on Sábado Gigante, there was no shortage of mediums, people who had were in touch with the other side. And perhaps one of the most famous mediums was Señor Walter Mercado, who kind of looked like Hillary Clinton, but he was way more welcome in Hispanic households. And that's why, when Chris brought the idea to me to do a heavy metal Zodiac episode where we discuss albums that came out in the year of our birth, I gave birth to the personality of Ignacio, the Perplexing. Chris, I'm so excited about this episode. I'm so happy, in fact, that I brought my tarot cards to make sure I can read them to you. So every selection that you give me from your list will have its very own tarot card reading attached along to it. And with that, I send you mucho, mucho, mucho amor. Chris, can you get us into this episode and out of this terrible bit?
What are you talking about? Tarot cards are a classic bit. Was it like episode 5 I whipped out my deck of tarot cards?
Dude, I was so hoping that you were going to break your tarot cards out and that we're going to be like, same idea, same bit.
I'm pretty
Chris,
sure.
Are you excited to get into this discussion of heavy metal
they're sitting
Zodiacs?
in a box over there, and I'm almost tempted to go look, but I'm not confident they're in there. I am so excited to get into this episode. Thank you, Ignacio.
You're welcome.
Gracias. I'm going to speak Spanish as white as I fucking can, all right? Muchos gracias.
He can do it. He's
Ignacio.
from Brentwood. It's all right.
But I am so excited to discuss heavy metal Zodiac. You know, like you said, talking about our favorite albums from the year we were born. I feel like as fans of hard rock and heavy metal, it is not unusual for us to listen to music from even before we were born. And so I, you know, there's so many people I know of that, like, the oldest song they listen to is from 2010. And I'm yeah, I'll go back pretty fucking far to the last century to listen to music. And I thought, you know, as a child born in the 80s, I was like, there was a lot of really good music, a lot of really good metal released in the 80s. I felt like it would be fun to discuss and explore the music that was released the years we were born. So yes, I'm very excited to discuss our heavy metal Zodiacs.
All right, so not to dox ourselves here, but Chris, what year were you born in?
I was born in the unfortunate for all usernames I've ever used, 1988. Because
why ever would you be ashamed of that?
Because certain people have co-opted the number 88, and so now you can't use it in a username, otherwise you're associated with those folks.
And what he means by that is vegans. I was born in the year 1989, so I don't have that problem. But yeah, I was really excited by this. I liked like you said, the concept of going back and being like, right, what music was coming out the year that I was born? And then you realize how much of that stuff is music that I have listened to a ton.
Yeah.
I tried to make it a rule for myself because, as I imagine you found with yourself as well, there were tons of albums that we've already discussed on the episode. So, like, at least for myself anyway, I made it a rule where I'm trying to touch on at least albums that we haven't really touched on too much. But like Ignacio said, we're a little bit more in touch with that other side. So, Chris, would you mind starting off for us while Ignacio cuts the deck and starts shuffling his cards?
So, unfortunately, I didn't really set any rules for myself, so I'm probably retreading past episodes. But that just means we get to talk about the music we love even more anyway. Exactly. You know, people might have missed the last time we talked about these albums. But the first album that immediately came to mind was Slayer's South of Heaven. This was released in 1988, and if you know anything about me, it's that I'm a huge Slayer fan. John, unfortunately, knows how much I love Slayer. I made it a huge part of my personality for probably a good third to, you know, half of my life. But this particular album is not an album I actually talk about a lot because obviously Rain and Blood, classic. Like some of their best music off of Rain and Blood. The album that came after this in 1990 is Seasons in the Abyss, which might be my favorite Slayer album. But right in the middle of those two is South of Heaven, which the title track is a fantastic song. One song that's really good is Live Undead. Near the end of the song, they say the lyric, "Laughing as you eternally rot." Which I believe gave birth to the theory that Slayer stands for Satan laughs as you eternally rot, which it doesn't. Oh. It doesn't stand for that. Slayer is just cool, Slayer. Though. But yeah, it's fucking cool that people kind of came up with that. And I think it was an interview with Kerry King because people were saying that. People have said that the band was originally called Dragon Slayer when they were an Iron Maiden cover band. And Kerry King has come out and just been like, nah, we're just Slayer is Slayer. That's what it was. But yeah, this album is so good. I also love songs like Behind the Crooked Cross, Mandatory Suicide. There's a cover of the Judas Priest song Dissident Aggressor, which Tom doesn't even try to hit the high notes that Rob Halford does. Kerry King and Jeff Hanneman just hit some high notes on the guitar to replace that. And then to close out the album is what might be the only instance of acoustic guitar in a Slayer album, the song Spill the Blood. So a lot of classic songs on this album, an album I really enjoy. I think I recently talked about how this album might be my favorite singing style from Tom Araya. So yeah, this was an easy pick for me. Like I said, this was the first thing I thought of when I knew I was going to be talking about albums that came out the year I was born. So that's why the first album I talked about is Slayer's South of Heaven. What do you got for me, Ignacio? I see you shuffling.
Ignacio fears something very, very disturbing from the other side. And what he finds as he shuffles the cards is, because how fitting, the devil. Which, honestly, this devil doesn't look like too bad of a guy. He's sneaking around. He's looking for mozzarella sticks past midnight to get a little snacky snack. He's not really all that bad. Honestly, people misinterpret a lot of the cards in tarot as being something malicious, where really the devil is just kind of going around being a goofy little guy, much like Kerry King himself.
He's just going to toss some Totino's pizza rolls in the microwave. That's what that is.
Yeah, exactly. He's listening to ska after that.
I could totally see that devil in checkered print two-stepping.
Oh, dude, he's doing it. He's doing it right there. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
All he's missing is the fedora.
There you go. Now that would be a real, very frightening devil. As much as we have talked about Slayer, I don't think we give enough credit or have discussed just how different they sounded from the rest of thrash metal coming out at the time.
Yeah.
Where a lot of it, we've made mention of it and talked about it even in our modern thrash episode. How a lot of the thrash sound, what people recognize, is the guitars and drums and everything drowned in reverb. So it gives it this real big sound. And I feel like with Slayer, everything sounded much drier. You really don't have a ton of reverb on there. Everything sounds more direct.
I mean, that was Rick Rubin on Rain and Blood, because there was reverb all over the place on Show No Mercy and Hell Awaits. And by their third album, Rick Rubin showed up and was like, get that fucking shit out of here.
Yeah, I feel like that was purposeful so that they could kind of stand out in the sea, within the sea of thrash metal coming out at the time. Which, like, I may not be the biggest Slayer fan, but credit where credit's due. Their guitars were not scooped like everyone, or they were, but it's in a different way. Everything is way more mid-forward than what you would get with some of the other thrash metal that was out at the time.
Yeah.
One of those bands, maybe not part of the big four, but a favorite of ours, which we have talked about endlessly, is Testament.
Yep.
And their album, Practice What You Preach, came out in the year of Ignacio, 1989. And this is a great album. This is one that needs a remaster. Friend of the podcast, Metal Mike, talks all the time about how he's like, I cannot wait for a reissue with a remixed and remastered version of this album. I do love, where we had this discussion recently, the dynamics that you get by it not being, super, super loud. But I get the point. You've brought this up all the time, where when you listen to an older album versus like if you had something that was more modern on just before that, you've got to raise the volume, and then it's like, oh shit, you got to turn it right back down when a more modern song comes on. But the title track, Practice What You Preach, phenomenal. It's like, I love that song. It's such a good song. Envy Life is great. Blessed in Contempt is awesome as well. Just some of the great songs off of that album. What I really liked with Practice What You Preach is it felt like an evolution of the band.
Yeah.
Now, like, after Chuck Billy left, they went real 90s with their metal. Yeah. And I'm glad that Chuck came back for, what was it, the Formation of Damnation, I think was the album when he made his return.
Maybe, yeah.
They are putting out a new album
yes.
Now as well, with some really, really great songs. Testament doesn't miss. That's the thing, is Testament doesn't miss. And it's crazy to think that I have become a fan of music that came out the year I was born.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you think about it, like, I mean, it makes me sick when some of my favorite albums are, it's announced that they've got a 25th anniversary reissue, a 30th, anniversary reissue, or they're doing a tour celebrating the 30th anniversary of an album that I love. And I'm like, holy shit, it makes you feel just how quickly time passes. Yeah. Almost as if we're disciples of the watch. But I do love... You made mention of it at the beginning of the episode. People who like aren't really connected to music at all and don't really know anything past like whatever club hits are out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where like, if that's your style of music, fine. This isn't a dig at you. It's more so we can't relate to not having music be, such a major part of your life just because of the way that we are, I think, as music fans, and especially as fans of heavy music. There is always the exploration of, well, what came before this? Well, what inspired these guys? I want to make sure that we're listening and being able to kind of connect the dots as time goes on. You know what I mean? Much like Constellations, which also have a deep connection in Zodiac. Thank you, Ignacio, for being the producer in my ear. Chris, what's your next choice for heavy metal Zodiac?
So the next choice is an album that we're going to continue to talk about because you just mentioned the band. Testament's The New Order, coming out in 1988. We talk about this in Boston One. We've said it 4 million times. These albums might as well be called best ofs because all their best songs are on these albums. Honestly, Practice What You Preach and the album The New Order is all I ever hear Testament perform when I see them live. And like we've said so many times before, The New Order top to bottom is just fantastic. The title track, The Preacher, Trial by Fire, Into the Pit, Eerie Inhabitants, the instrumental at the end, Musical Death, A Dirge, their cover of Nobody's Fault. You mentioned Disciples of the Watch. The entire album is just classic after classic after classic. And I never get tired of talking about it. And it's funny you talk about guitar tones because I haven't really tried that hard, but the tone on The New Order is probably my favorite distorted rhythm guitar tone.
It's so good.
The next time I actually go through the effort of trying to play my electric, I'll probably want to try to recreate that tone. But it is everything I want to hear out of a thrash metal distorted rhythm guitar. And they also do the same thing with acoustic and clean tones as well that we talk about all the time. But that fucking distorted rhythm is so fucking good. When I listen to fucking Trial by Fire or the title track, The New Order, oh my God, that intro to The New Order is fucking phenomenal. And,
it's crushing.
And it's so good. And I love this album. I'll never stop talking about this album. I will not set rules that will prevent me from talking about this album. It's just a classic. And again, I wasn't sure what year this album even came out. I had to look it up because there were so many albums I thought I'd get to talk about, and they came out in 87 or 89. So when I saw that The New Order was out in 88, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I get to talk about one of my favorite albums over and over and over again. So yeah, definitely knew I had to talk about The New Order from Testament.
It's such a good album. It's such a... Again, we've talked about this album endlessly, but it's for good reason. It's for good reason. Ignacio wants to chime in with his reading for this album, for which I pulled The Hermit. See, The Hermit is obviously a man who's never heard this album. I don't know where the accent's going. I apologize to everyone. He has never heard Testament. This is his first time experiencing the crushing guitar tones present on this album. And he's not only impressed, but afraid that he has no riffs. He is maidenless and has no riffs. This man is destitute, if you will.
But it looks like he got a pedicure. His toenails look done.
See, listen, you know what? From time to time, you got to spice things up a little bit, okay? He's a hermit. Obviously, he was shooed away during COVID, but... I don't know why he turned Filipino all of a sudden. But yeah, that's Ignacio's take on the album. So for my next choice is an album by a band that I have admittedly, and I know I'm going to get tons and tons of his tomato for saying this, I have not spent a ton of time listening to Morbid Angel. One may even say this is probably the first time that I've listened to anything from them, which I know sounds like a sin. I know that they're a super important band, and I get it. Now listening to Altars of Madness, I get it. I understand. I see where everything that I love has come from. The opening song, Immortal Rights, is great. Some of the other standouts that I really liked, Suffocation, Chapel of Ghouls as well. This was an experience, and this is exactly what the show is meant to do. It's meant to find us new music to listen to.
Yep.
And so by finding out, like, okay, cool, this album came out in 1989, the year I was born, I was like, this is now the most important one that I'm going to want to start with. It helped me to kind of zero in on something, because especially with a lot of these older bands, you're going, okay, where do I start though? Do I start from the very beginning? Are we going to have a Metallica type situation or a Slayer type situation where the first albums sound very different sonically to what the band does further on in their career? Should I start with the third or fourth? What's the biggest hit? You know what I mean? Like, at least this objective that we had, that we went into this with, gave me a clear direction of where to start. So I'm glad that I got to start with this album, because like I said, I did not have many friends growing up who were listening to Morbid Angel or Nuclear Assault. You know what I mean? Like I got more of the bigger thrash metal bands. I didn't really get a lot of the speed metal, thrash, like early death metal influencing type bands. But I'm glad that I got a chance to listen to them now. Like, this is something that now I'll be able to go through and say, like, okay, cool, I'm going to listen to this full album again and start making my way through the rest of their discography. Do you know what I mean? Like, did you find that this... I know that you didn't have the same rule in mind that I did, but did you have any of your picks that were like, oh, I've never actually checked this band out before, this is an opportunity for me to explore? And if not, do you feel like it just gave you a better appreciation for like, okay, wow, this is something that came out in the year that I was born, let's compare this to what everyone else was doing at the same time?
I think I can take us in a similar direction along that vein, because the next album I want to talk about is from a band that certainly influenced the bands that we're talking about.
Okay.
But was also coming out with the music influencing them at the same time. That's Iron Maiden and their 88 album, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
Okay.
You know, it's so interesting. And I remember I made this discovery at some point, but even when we did our Maiden versus Priest episode, Iron Maiden sounds like such a 1970s heavy metal band that it's kind of crazy to me that they got their start in 1980. Their first album came out in 1980. They're an 80s band. They had music coming out in 1992 that sounded like it should have come out in 1982. So it's so interesting to me that, you know, like I said, a band like Slayer was influenced by Iron Maiden, and 3 years after the Iron Maiden debut, Slayer is inventing thrash metal along with Metallica and Anthrax. So it's interesting to see Iron Maiden evolve this kind of older metal sound alongside these bands that are evolving a new sound at the same time. And it was weird. But getting to this album, you know, it has some classic songs on it. Can I Play With Madness is a great one. The Evil That Men Do. One of my favorites is The Clairvoyant, which I think Ignacio would relate to. The Clairvoyant. It's not
definitely yes.
That I think that song, there's a line in that about he couldn't foresee his own demise. So hopefully that's not Ignacio.
Oh boy, it's all in the cards. I don't know.
I'll have to get my cards and do a reading for Ignacio to see what it says.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I was going through, this was, I'll admit, a bit of a late addition to the list when I was like, oh shit, I don't have as many albums as John. Oh, I forgot that this was an album that came out in 88. So like, I didn't really give the album like a good listen. It was really just kind of like, hey, I know some of the songs. I know this is a classic album. The album cover is fucking awesome, you know.
Which album cover is this?
That's the one where I think he's like, Eddie is like holding his insides or something. It's like it's the blue cover where he's like, where you just have like Eddie from like the torso up.
Okay.
I think that's the
I think I know which one it is. Yeah. I'm trying to envision it, because like the Evil That Men Do is probably my favorite Maiden song. I love that song so much.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I didn't connect that it was off of this album.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I just know it as one of their classics, so I never really clocked what album it was on, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, I was listening to Iron Maiden, I was listening to their greatest hits and Dance of Death and what's it, Matter of Life and Death, I think is the one with the tank on the cover.
Yeah,
which came out, and like I remember someone even seeing my Iron Maiden collection and they're like, Chris, this is pathetic. Like you have their 2 newest albums, and then all you have of their old music is a greatest hits. Like I don't have Iron Maiden, I don't have Killers, I don't have, you know, Number of the Beast. I don't own any of those fucking albums. But I've listened to the, you know, popular songs. So I've heard enough, you know, for our head-to-head. I did give those early albums a closer listen. Listening to, why am I blanking on the original singer's name? Paul Di'Anno.
Yeah.
You know, there's
recently
some good
passed.
Yeah, definitely. You know, a song like Wrathchild is fucking great, you know, so like listening to that older stuff. But yeah, when it came time to look for music that came out the same year I was born, music that's the same age as me, I was happy to find an Iron Maiden album, that one being Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
I'm so happy that you did it. When you first brought the album up, I was going to interrupt you just so I could do that, just so I could give it the dramatic pause. All right, Ignacio, why don't you head on in here? So for Iron Maiden, I feel that nothing is more Iron Maiden than a tower. That is the card that we pull for them. It is showing a man who is stage diving off the stage. He was not voluntarily stage diving. He ran up to give Bruce Dickinson a hug, and he said, "Get out of my face," and he pushed him from the stage. This is why he is falling from the tower. Again, I'm so good at some accents, some that I should probably keep to myself.
Where'd you get that deck? That tower looks like the water tower at Jones Beach.
I found the deck at Jones Beach, believe it or not. If you're interested, if you are so inclined, I got this deck from a good friend of mine, Sir Anthony of the Huntsville Cryptcast. This is the Deviant Moon Tarot by Patrick Valenza. Beautiful, beautiful art on this deck. Anthony had me study the cards. So I'm so sorry, Ant. All these readings are just a joke. I get it.
Oh, well, then
I do still respect my tarot.
Let me go grab the one I picked off of Amazon because it was the one that Prime would deliver the fastest. That's how I decided which tarot deck to get.
You know what? I still have faith in your tarot abilities. Much like this band, who is Faith No More, and their album, The Real Thing. I found out recently that this album was pretty much written, recorded, and ready to go when they had split up with their original vocalist. So when Mike Patton comes in, they basically told him, record's done. All you got to do is write lyrics and track your vocals. And so it is amazing now having that knowledge that he was able to go into this recording session and meld so well with the sound that they had already established. They were already doing this sort of like pseudo rap metal thing with a song like We Care a Lot. And to see how that evolved into epic is incredible. Again, especially considering that this is someone who came in as a fan. There's an interview that Patton had done with the rest of Faith No More. It's like it's an older, like, must have been from the 90s, like right around 89 probably. They were talking about the release of the album, and he was talking about being a fan and reading the news that they had split with their original vocalist and being like, damn, I used to like those guys. They used to be really good, you know, and then lo and behold, he ends up auditioning for the band and becomes their new singer. And this album is just phenomenal. This is a classic album, again, right up there with a Master of Puppets or, you know, South of Heaven, like all these classic albums. Surprise You're Dead is great. Hearing Faith No More go like full speed metal is always so much fun, especially Mike Patton's voice on that. We are so used to hearing Patton have this higher, almost like nasally delivery to his voice on some of the other songs, that hearing him go like full metal on Surprise You're Dead is great. The Real Thing is an awesome song. They also have From Out of Nowhere, which I believe is the album opener, is a great song. Falling to Pieces is another awesome song. I also love all the music videos for these songs because all of their outfits are so 90s. I threw a grunge-themed birthday party for myself this year. Chris, you were in attendance.
Yes.
And like in my mind, I was like, I just need a pair of shorts that I can cut and then wear leggings underneath. I wound up going a different direction, but it's all because of the imagery that we see in all these music videos off of this classic, phenomenal album. If you have not checked out Faith No More's The Real Thing, do yourself a favor. You've had 36 years. Chris, what's your next choice on your heavy metal Zodiac list?
So the next album I want to talk about is Manowar and their album Kings of Metal.
Okay.
I've been a big Manowar fan since high school. I was introduced to Manowar, and this was one of the first albums I listened to. The title track is a fantastic song. Wheels of Fire is a classic. I feel like so many bands have covered Wheels of Fire. It's such a good song. Heart of Steel is a great ballad. It has Sting of the Bumblebee, which is Joey DeMaio showing off on his bass playing Flight of the Bumblebee.
I thought you were saying it had Sting of the Police on there. Like, really? On a Manowar album?
No, not quite. Kingdom Come is a classic. Blood of the Kings, which closes out the album, is like 7.5 minutes long. It's like this great epic power metal song. This album also features the classic Manowar song, Pleasure Slave, which, fantastic song, all about having women pleasure you, I guess. I don't fucking know. It's at some point I think they had to release albums that didn't have the song on it anymore because people thought it was too explicit. Because the song starts with like a bunch of women moaning and then Eric Adams, not the mayor of New York, like laughing. I'm gonna say that every fucking time I mention Eric Adams, the lead singer of Manowar. I'm going to point out that he is not the mayor of New York City. But yeah,
we should point people in the other direction and be like, yeah, no, he's the mayor. That's the same guy. Same guy. There's enough problematic former members of Manowar. We don't need to add to the list. But yeah, Kings of Metal is this is, like I said, one of the first albums that introduced me to the band. And like I said, a song like Pleasure Slave is fucking funny to listen to. But the album as a whole has a bunch of great fucking songs. Like I said, I've listened to Blood of the Kings, I don't even know how many times, because it's just such a classic power metal song. And, it's all the same shit Manowar always sings about, the glory of battle and all of that, it's the sound of swords clashing and spilling your enemy's blood. That's what this album is all about. That's what the cover depicts, the faceless warrior holding up a sword, atop a mountain of like slain enemies. Like, it's classic power metal, classic Manowar. I knew I couldn't get through this episode without talking about the Manowar classic, Kings of Metal. Hold on, I dropped my card. I want to pick that up first. Because I'm not actually pulling any cards from the deck. I picked them all beforehand.
Oh, really? Really? Oh, John, how could you shatter the illusion like that? That's
behind the curtain.
That is, oh my goodness, that's insane. How could you do that?
I'm so sorry.
I'm going to pick a card to give a reading of how bad that is. You got the 9 of Wands, whatever the fuck that does.
I think it means I'm lactose intolerant.
I don't know. You're sure that's not the 6 of Cups?
Oh shit, maybe. That's how many ounces of milk I drank right before recording. That's why I had to run to the bathroom.
That's why I'm addicted to Fairlife and drink the 1.5 liter of fucking chocolate milk in 2 days.
That's what we give Jax. Not the chocolate milk, the regular one.
Oh, no, I have the lunch of a 5-year-old. I have a Smucker's Uncrustable with grape jelly and chug the fucking chocolate milk.
Manowar is such a classic band. I mean, we've talked about them a ton on the show, and they are so corny, and I want to say that they're unserious about it, but it seems like they take it so seriously.
It feels like Joey probably takes it more serious than he should.
Right, yeah.
But seeing them live, he does have fun. Like he's clearly putting on the performance of the over-the-top rock star, because when he does his live performance of Sting of the Bumblebee, he's doing, like, instead of taking a violin bow to the guitar like fucking Jimmy Page, or like what they do in Spinal Tap, where he's like rubbing the violin. He's rubbing the bass against the edge of the stage. Like he's being a silly ass rock star. And I will never forget him like kneeling down, like soloing in front of someone and very clearly mouthing like, "I'm gonna fuck you," or "I'm going to have sex with you," something like that, to some woman in the front. And clearly her husband is right next to her and starts giving him a hard time. And he's like, "All right, no, he's going to have sex with you." And like very animated doing this and like playing up this rock star role. So I think like, but then right after that, he goes on a rant about why they had to install their own sound foam in the Paramount, because he wanted us to hear them the way they're meant to be heard, and that the sound waves would be bouncing off the balconies weird. So like, I think he takes it a little too seriously, but he also knows he's being a little over the top and silly, just a little bit.
Yeah, someone who doesn't take themselves seriously is Ignacio. That's why my last name is the Perplexing for a reason. And luckily, the card that I pulled for Manowar is Strength. And you can see this is one of the former members fighting with a Hellspawn there. He looks somewhat like a more jacked Robin Williams as the genie in Aladdin. And luckily, he brings much strength to Manowar. You know, nothing is better than seeing Manowar all oiled up in the loincloth and all of their classic disguises.
Yeah. I gotta say,
it's exactly what we come to heavy metal for.
I gotta say, I don't know if it's because it was out of focus or not, but it looked like the genie was like, it was like the scene in Godzilla with Bryan Cranston when it does the radioactive breath right into the Muto's mouth. That's what exactly it kind of looks like. That's what it looks exactly like. It looks like he's vomiting into his mouth violently.
It's the creature's tongue. But we'll go with your explanation.
That's what I thought, but out of focus and on a Google Meets call, it looks like Godzilla's radioactive breath. So that's how I'm interpreting it.
Hey, listen, I know I just told you that I picked all the cards before the reading, but let's not divulge the fact that we use Google
Shawn,
Meets.
How could you reveal that? How could you reveal that? Oh my goodness.
So my next pick for Heavy Metal Zodiac is the Sick of It All album, Blood, Sweat, and No Tears. Again, Sick of It All, great band, New York hardcore classics. Listen to the album from start to finish. Every song. It's a no-skip album. It's one of those. And it's just phenomenal. Again, there's a reason why certain bands are looked at as like staples within a genre, and Sick of It All is one of those bands. This album is great. I love that as I've been listening to more and more hardcore and discovering stuff, I can now do, again, like I was saying before, all right, this is the album that I'm going to start with. This is the album that I'm going to start my exploration with. And it's kind of just cool to see what point music was at in history in relation to when I was born.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's the most fascinating part about all of this, is getting to go down the rabbit hole of like, oh, okay, so this sounded like what Meshuggah would have sounded like to us. You know what I mean? When like everyone else was kind of doing still like not run of the mill, but like it was a little bit more punk influenced still. You know what I mean? And just it's one of the most important New York hardcore bands of all time. Chris, what's your next pick for heavy metal Zodiac.
You just mentioned New York hardcore, and I want to talk about a couple fellas from New York. That's They Might Be Giants.
Okay.
The two Johns, John Linnell, John Flansburgh, make up the guitar and accordion duo They Might Be Giants. This is a band that I love. I know they've come up before. And in 1988, they released their album, Lincoln.
Okay.
This has some classic songs on it. Anna Ing, which I think is the song that the music video was filmed at the World's Fair in Queens.
Okay.
So, there's lots of shots of those flying saucers and the big rotunda and everything. Other songs.
Whoa, you can't say that word anymore. I don't care if Gen Z's bringing it back. We can't say that on the podcast.
Oh, boy, fuck, I'm going to get canceled. What do your tarot cards say about that?
It's all right. Just have everybody boycott Disney and you'll be back.
But yeah, this album from They Might Be Giants, other classic songs off of this are Cowtown, Pencil Rain, Mr. Me is a great song. Kiss Me, Son of God is a classic. They Might Be Giants are an interesting and unique band. And I was so happy to be able to talk about this album because, their most popular album, Flood, came out in 1990. But I was like, these guys got their start in like 1983 or 1985. So I knew they must have had something. And I was so happy to see that Lincoln came out in 88. Like I said, Anna Ing has always been a favorite of mine. It's a really good song. But yeah, I was just happy. Anytime I get to talk about They Might Be Giants is a good day because they're so unique, so out there, so don't fit the other styles of music we're talking about. But they're a couple of dudes from Queens. We love our hometown bands, no matter how fucking weird they are. So that's why I knew I had to talk about They Might Be Giants and their album, Lincoln.
I love that. I was like, oh, cool, he's gonna bring up another NYHC band.
Nope.
And then here's They Might Be Giants. Which obviously is the reason that Ignacio picked this next card. For the most brutal band that we've brought up on the podcast so far, Chris just coming up with banger after banger after banger. It's the Ten of Swords, because look at this, it's so brutal. This guy's like, ouch, get me out of this box. Why so many swords? And that's exactly the image that you think of when you listen to They Might Be Giants. Istanbul, it was Constantinople. You know why it was? Because this guy was killed. Look at him, right? He was. It's the same thing. It's the same message. Clearly, the most brutal band that we've brought up on the podcast so far.
Clearly. Yeah,
So,
you can listen to a They Might Be Giants album and then write a fucking research paper about, why the sun shines and the history of Constantinople. Like that's brutal.
That's exactly what happens. That's exactly what we're looking for. So my next choice is an album that I was disappointed to learn was not the album that I was hoping for. And what I mean by that is I love the song Rock and Roll Crazy Nights by the Japanese heavy metal band Loudness. And I was like, hell yeah, that album came out in 1989. No, it didn't. Soldier of Fortune came out in 1989. And it has the song You Shook Me, which kept getting confused for You Shook Me All Night Long by AC/DC. So anytime I tried to look up the song, it kept bringing me to You Shook Me All Night Long by AC/DC. Honestly, I was just disappointed that Rock and Roll Crazy Nights did not come out in the year that I was born. It was the year before this album. And it was, also their first album with an American singer. Give me someone like Udo Dirkschneider, who's like clearly does not have the greatest grasp on the language when they write their biggest hit. Give me Rock and Roll Crazy Nights. I love Loudness because their music video for Rock and Roll Crazy Nights was constantly on VH1 Classic, their hair metal hour that they used to do. And what can I say? Listen to Rock and Roll Crazy Nights, but know that Soldier of Fortune with the song You Shook Me came out in 1989. They can't all be gems, all right? They can't all be gems.
we do what we can.
Exactly.
We do what we can. So the next album I want to talk about, I'll be honest, until I did the research, I had no idea what year this album came out because Spotify likes to do this funny thing where when a band re-releases an album, it only tells you the year that the re-release came out. Mm-hmm. So according to Spotify, this album came out in 2015, which is not correct at all. Because Razor's album, Violent Restitution, actually came out in 1988. And this album is so good. I believe I've brought it up before. A lot of fans of Razor consider this like a return to form for them. It is thrashy as fuck. Like, it is so fast and so awesome. And it starts with the lead singer releasing this blood-curdling scream. Okay. And then they go into the instrumental, the martial arts. And that leads...
Oh, okay. Yeah, now I remember you bringing that up.
And that leads right into the song Hypertension, which is fucking awesome. And it's funny, I saw recently on one of the many metal subreddits, people talking about, what's your favorite, scream in a metal song. Yeah. And people talk about Tom Araya and Angel of Death. People talk about Bruce Dickinson and Number of the Beast. But a lot of people talk about the martial arts. And someone made the comment, I love that one of the best screams in metal isn't an instrumental, because that's the only vocals in the song is the scream at the beginning of the song. But like I said, those first two tracks, fucking rip, fantastic songs. Other songs off of this album, Taste the Floor is great, Below the Belt, Enforcer is so good, Eve of the Storm is really good. A lot of classic songs off of this album. And like I said, I listened to this album because these were the songs at the top of the most played on Spotify. So I was like, all right, let me check this out. So I didn't get the experience of they changed their sound a bit and then returned to really intense speed metal and thrash metal. I just start listening to them, hear this brutal scream, and then this fantastic thrash metal. And I'm like, how have I never heard this band before? So I have loved this album. I love this band. I know, like you said, I've brought it up before. And I was very happy to find out that this came out same year I was born, and that's Razor and their album, Violent Restitution.
See, my favorite release from Razor is when he had that fight for the belt, like the ladder fight with Shawn Michaels. You know what I mean? And
you mean the Cuban professional wrestler Razor Ramon?
Exactly.
Not to be confused with the dude from Detroit, Scott Hall. I don't know if he's actually from Detroit, but he seems like he'd be from Detroit. That's a classic. Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 10 to unify the Intercontinental title. Classic.
So good.
I heard a story.
Full things on YouTube.
I heard a story somewhere. I forget if it was Scott Hall or Shawn Michaels talking about it, that they went into WrestleMania not really knowing that was going to be a ladder match. And so people talk to Razor and to Scott and Shawn after the fact, and they're like, what was it like having this ladder match? And I think it was Scott Hall. He was like, in the entire year leading up to that match, I had a ladder match against Shawn Michaels once a week at every fucking house show we did. And there were house shows we did where the title wasn't hung up high enough, and we had to slow climb up the ladder and pretend we couldn't reach the title while standing flat on our feet. But so for the match, they're they didn't plan out the match. It wasn't anything special. It was just Shawn and Scott saying to each other, hey, remember that spot we did in Milwaukee? Let's do that. Oh, hey, remember that thing I did in Oklahoma City? Let's do that. And so they're throwing the ladder around and going crazy. Yeah. That was the only ladder they had. So if that ladder got to a point that they couldn't climb it, the referees would have had to have held it. But yeah, I remember hearing that. And I forget, I'm pretty sure it was Scott Hall, but I don't remember if it was Scott or Shawn telling that story. But I always loved that they were just like, we didn't even know it was going to be a fucking ladder match. We just made it up as we went along and started calling spots from stuff we had done in the past year.
Such a good fight. Yeah. Such a good match.
So
I love
good.
that. Speaking of bad accents, Ignacio's back. Seemingly, someone else making a return is the devil card. He's back for more snacks. You know what I mean? Listen, Razor Ramon, bad accents. You get it. An album that I know you've brought up before is Kreator's Extreme Aggression.
Yes.
And this is a great album.
Yes.
Released in 1989. There was, I think, a remaster. I think there is.
Yes, there is.
Which is available on there, too. So I did have to do a little bit of extra research. I'm so happy that you brought that up.
Extreme Aggression, released in 2020. It's like, no, the fuck not.
Doesn't seem right. Awesome song. The highlights, I know it's the big hits off of it, but Extreme Aggression, Love Us or Hate Us, Betrayer, No Reason to Exist was really awesome, too.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
My first time hearing this album. Chris has brought it up before. I think it was just Extreme Aggression, like the title track that you had brought up in a prior episode. I forget what episode it was. For our diligent listeners, why don't you mention it for us in the comments? But again, another band that I've listened to stuff from Kreator, but usually it's just like, oh, let me play top songs. Okay, cool. I like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you get to say like, okay, I'm listening to this song with a purpose of understanding where music was at the point that I was born.
Yeah.
At the point in history that I was born. It's so awesome to see where the branches start to develop and how people got influenced by this. You know what I mean? It's awesome. And, Teutonic metal band.
Yeah.
We love that too. Angel Ripper is incredible. But yeah, I'm glad that, again, this podcast constantly allows me the opportunity to go, oh, cool. Here's another new band that I'm going to start listening to. Here's another album that I can put on during a car ride, during a workout, during whatever else. You know what I mean? I know you've brought it up in the past. That's why I was like, nice. There we go. We've got a return of a classic album there.
It's funny. Extreme Aggression is the other album on the Burn CD with the New Order. So I would listen to those two albums back to back all the time. Yeah. And that's another song I'll point out just because we're talking about the album. Fatal Energy, the closing track. Fucking love that song.
Yeah.
So definitely a good choice. I love me some good German thrash metal. So I love it. You've talked about a few times, listening to where music was when we were born, which is an interesting way to think about it. It's almost like looking at music from the before times, when a band has maybe, changed up something. And that's why the album I want to talk about is Pantera's Power Metal, released in 1988.
Okay. Yeah.
This is one of the first 4 albums that came out before Cowboys from Hell, and Phil Anselmo insisted they steal Ex-Hoarder's sound.
Yeah.
Listening to this album, you can hear that they were on their way to being a thrash metal band. This was Phil Anselmo's first album with the band. Previous 3 albums were with the singer Terry Glaze. But yeah, this album, the title track is great. Rock the World is a really good song. Over and Out, I think it was, is very thrashy. And yeah, listening to this album, which is not easy to do. I had to listen to it on YouTube because unfortunately I don't own it, and Pantera are cowards and will not release this music anywhere. I think it's more of they hate Terry Glaze and don't want to let him get any money from that music. But the idea that they're cowards is more fun. But yeah, this is, even though they ignore that these albums exist, there's good music to listen to there. And even though I use it to poke fun at the fact that they sound a lot like Ex-Hoarder after the fact, it's good music that I love listening to. I remember in high school, the DJ I did a radio show with was like, dude, you got to check this out. This is Pantera before they were Pantera. This is glam metal Pantera. You got to check this out. I remember my brother did karate for a while, and to get one of his I don't know which fucking belt it was, but he had to do a fighting test. And when you did a fighting test, you got to pick what music played during the fighting test. And one of the songs he picked was Rock the World. And I remember the sensei who was our cousin's husband. He was like, can we turn this down? Because he's trying to talk while my brother is like hyping himself up, listening to like all this heavy metal. And the sensei is like, can we turn this down? I can't hear myself think with this fucking heavy metal and death metal playing, because it was Manowar and Cannibal Corpse and Pantera all on here. But yeah, I've loved pre-Cowboys Pantera for a while, which is why I keep picking on them for it. But yeah, I knew this album came out in '88, so I was like, I am not going to miss an opportunity to accuse Pantera of stealing Exhorder sound and talk about how good the pre-Cowboys music was, because it was really fucking good. Even that first fucking album, the cover is frightening. Metal Magic with the hand-drawn Panther Man.
Yeah.
But Dimebag was 16 years old, ripping some crazy riffs and solos on that album. You know, so it's like, the music is good. It sucks that it's not available to listen to anywhere unless you physically buy it, because as much as we like to make fun of it, music's good. And there's good stuff to listen to there. So whether I'm picking on them or not, I knew I had to talk about Pantera's power metal.
It's all in good fun. It's all in good fun because, like you said, it's in the same way where we are listening to music and trying to pinpoint where music was at in the years that we were born. It gives you that perspective too, where it's like, right, okay, they had a whole career before they really blew up. And it goes without saying that Dime just had left such an impression on people, which is why they had garnered so much hype around them with their live performances and stuff. Yep. I think everybody could tell just how much of a guitar icon he would eventually become. Now, little known fact is that their original name was Pentacles, and that's why Ignacio picked out the Ace of Pentacles.
That's fucking rad as hell, bro. What the fuck?
As you can see, this card basically says, I went shopping at Spencer's Gifts. I went into the back section where you have all the necklaces and all the earrings and the very cool posters of dragons. This glows in the dark, I believe. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Who's to say? But the point being that Pantera missed out an opportunity to be called Pentacles. That would have been way cooler. And then they could have stayed the hair metal band. And, you know, it would have fit. People would have liked it. I'm so sorry. So, this past weekend, I had an incredible opportunity. Buddy of mine, my buddy Pete, is a huge fan of old school hardcore. And I'm ashamed to say, I have not done a deep dive on the Gorilla Biscuits. So much so that, just to be funny, I wrote to him, are we still down for Gorilla's Biscuit, spelled like Limp Bizkit, before going to see them on Friday. They're awesome. They were so much fun. I got thrown around in the pit. My ribs are feeling the effects. I got stuck under the barricade. My foot got stuck under the barricade. Just an awesome time. But seeing it this was on the pre-festival party concert with Deadshot, who is a band of like 15, 16-year-olds. Not 15, 16-year-olds, but 15 or 16-year-olds.
Oh, so they're a ska band.
Yeah. And everybody was just talking about how cool it was to see that, like, they were all saying, like, okay, this is before the CBGB Fest. This is the pre-party, or whatever you want to call it, to CBGB Fest. And all of us played CBGB when we were, 15 or 16. So seeing these kids being 15 or 16 years old is awesome, too.
Yeah.
It was Deadshot, No Redeeming Social Value, Orange 9mm, Lockdown, and, Shutdown, and Gorilla Biscuits. They were just incredible. It's so much energy.
Yeah.
Seeing so many people stage dive, I took 2 boots to the face. It was an awesome experience. But I digress. Their album Start Today is great. When you want to talk about really fun, very punky, hardcore, lots of positive messages on this album too. And I loved that feel, and seeing these guys up on stage still having fun after so much time, after at least 36 years. And enjoying it and still having as much energy as any of the younger bands that I've seen. There's a reason why these bands become legendary. And I think a lot of it just has to do with the live performance, with the live show. Listening to this record, a lot of that comes through on the recording. And that's something that you don't get a lot of times. A lot of times you'll see a band live and you're like, this was incredible. I can't believe how awesome this was. And then you listen to the recording and it's missing some of that energy. It's missing some of that fire. It could just be that, they're in a different setting, so they don't have as much of their energy isn't quite there when they're in a recording setting, as opposed to a live setting. But this loses nothing. Now, having seen them live, I'm doing my due diligence to do a much deeper dive on the Gorillaz Biscuit and making sure that I listen to this album again and again and again, because, as Pete pointed out, thanks to me not really knowing them, still I knew who Gorilla Biscuits were. We brought them up in our NYHC episode. I know that they're a legendary band, but I have not spent the time to know the lyrics. Therefore, I missed out on singing along to a lot of these songs. And boy, howdy, do they have sing-along parts. It's awesome. So good. If you've never listened to Gorilla Biscuits, check out Start Today. Start today by listening to Gorilla Biscuits' 1989 album, Start Today. Cool.
Fucking love Gorilla Biscuits. Talking about no redeeming social value and Gorilla Biscuits. I was introduced to both of them in high school. I'm trying to remember if Gorilla Biscuits I learned about because of a cover in a Tony Hawk song, or if the other DJ would play Start Today. I don't remember, but Start Today is the one song I know. But I fucking love it. And yeah, no redeeming social value is a good one too.
They were awesome. It was so funny. They were like, how many fucking straight edge kids are here? And like you hear a bunch of people cheer and they're like, great, well, we're not that. This song's called Beer. It's like, goddamn. During their song Chicken, they had a guy come out in a chicken costume. It was awesome. Yeah, they were a lot of fun, and it was just really funny seeing the shift in dynamic. I wish I would have been able to go to the festival the day after. That would have been fun.
Yeah.
I got fucking knocked around. I was drinking a Coke at one point. I think it was during it was probably during shutdown. And someone came by and fucking, as they're circle pitting, and someone then just decided to run into me.
Yeah.
So Coke all over my leg, all over Pete's side. I'm like, oh fuck, let me go to the bathroom and just wash my arms because now I'm all sticky.
Yep. And
then I get back from the bathroom and I'm standing there watching the band and I just feel whoosh whoosh, like just wind on either side of my head. I'm like, the fuck was that? And I look down, like 2 people down, someone just gets a fist to the face. This guy was just wailing his arms as he's going. It's like every other person was getting hit. I was like, holy fuck. It's that close.
Yeah. Oh boy.
When my foot got stuck under the barricade, there was this girl standing next to me. The 2 of us get run into, and my ribs just go right into the fucking barricade. I'm like, oh fuck, okay, let me try and fucking move from here, because there was no wall. I was like, I'm too short to be right at the fucking wall of the pit. So I tried to walk away, and I'm like, I can't fucking move. What the fuck? As I'd gotten thrown into the barricade, I guess in trying to pick myself back up, my foot got stuck underneath. So now it's upright. Now my boot is stuck under it. So I'm pushing back against the barricade to let my foot free. Security is pushing me, thinking I'm just being a dick.
Yeah.
The girl standing next to me is trying to get around me, and she's like, let me through. I was like, I'm stuck. I can't move. I was like, I promise I'm not doing this to be a dick. Chris, Ignacio is just salivating, waiting for your next pick, your suggestion for our heavy metal Zodiac episode.
So my suggestion for our heavy metal Zodiacs a classic album, classic song that came out the year I was born, just as old as me, is Weird Al, and off of his 1988 album, Even Worse, Fat. This is, of course, a parody of the Michael Jackson song Bad. Even on the cover, it is a parody of the Michael Jackson album cover.
Yeah.
And this is a classic. This is classic Weird Al. This is, one of the first Weird Al parodies I ever heard was Fat. And I knew, similar to They Might Be Giants, I knew he was releasing music in the 80s. I was like, let me see.
Yeah.
maybe he's got something from 88. And of course, it was this classic. And yeah, it's just, that's all I can say. Fucking Weird Al. I love it. I believe it's Beat It in the Weird Al biopic. He says he wrote and Michael Jackson parodied. I don't know if you've seen the Weird Al.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, it's so fucking funny because the only thing that's true in the movie is that he bought his first accordion from a door-to-door salesman. Okay. Everything else in the movie is completely made up. And so it's very Weird Al for his biopic to be a parody of biopics.
Yeah.
Where he talks about how he writes original songs that are parodied by the other artists. He, is dating Madonna and then is killed by a drug cartel hitman. So yeah, it's riveting stuff in Weird, the Al Yankovic story, starring Daniel Radcliffe in the role of a lifetime, much like, who's it, Gary Oldman in Tiptoes, role of a lifetime, they refer to it as?
Yes.
I love how often I'll see something online about that movie. Oh, man. What a classic.
Oh, my God. It's a great album, though. I love this album. I think this was one of the ones that I had as a kid where you've got, the song is just 6 words long.
Yeah.
I Think I'm a Clone Now is on that album as well. Is it Velvet Elvis is on there too, I think?
Maybe.
So good. It's Weird Al. I feel like guys of our age bracket, 88, 89, we were all obsessed with Weird Al.
Yeah.
It just, the sense of humor, the wittiness of all the parodies, UHF. Now I've got to do a double feature of UHF and the biopic.
Yeah.
Just so I can get as much Weird Al as I possibly can.
Definitely.
And Ignacio, what is your take? What do the cards say? There is nothing more deadly than a parody. It can kill another artist's career. That is why Weird Al deserves the death card. A lot of people say, hey, listen, why is this, what is this, the 13 of goats? No, it's the death card. And so...
13 of goats.
The point is, tarot is not so literal, right? There are deeper meanings within the card. You see, this is Weird Al stepping on Coolio, because... Obviously, Coolio was too cowardly to let him parody a song. He did it anyway. That's what you call gangster. And that's why Weird Al deserves the death card. So, similar to Weird Al, the band Bolt Thrower, incredible. They also get the death card, as Ignacio has deemed them worthy. Their 1989 album, their debut album, Realm of Chaos, is awesome. I got to listen to it this morning during my workout, and again, I got to see where a lot of the speed metal, a lot of the grimier death metal comes from. I have seen so many memes about Bolt Thrower and people owning Bolt Thrower t-shirts, and I was like, oh, right. I know the name. I've just never done a sit down to listen to all of their stuff. I know that Hard Lore had them on like their heaviest bands list, I believe it was. So I knew the name. The name has always been around. I just never had the opportunity to sit down and really listen to the music. But this album is incredible. It's from 1989. Eternal War is great. All That Remains is great. World Eater was really good as well. And the title track, Realm of Chaos, is awesome. Listen to the whole thing front to back. That's what I did during my workout. It's just, I love getting the opportunity to listen to something I've never listened to before and then saying, okay, this is why people speak so highly of it. Now I'm going to go ahead and start listening to the songs from when all of my siblings were born, to coincide with their album releases. It's weird how my parents did that. It's also weird that I'm probably lying about this. Maybe not. Who knows? Ignacio, what's your take? He's a liar. Don't listen to him. So that's why you should listen to Realm of Chaos by Bolt Thrower. So stupid. This is so stupid. So much runtime devoted to Ignacio. Ignacio, why don't you take us out? The time has come for these two fools to say goodbye. It's time to pack up their gear, but they will be back in the next episode to rock out with you, perhaps once again.
Stay metal, Ignacio.
Good night and mucho, mucho, mucho amor.
Buenos noches.
The white mom after she says gracias to the Jamaican waitress at the Chinese restaurant.
Gracias, senorita.
I'll have uno margarita, por favor. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month.